space that has since been recommissioned for college students and families that go to school on the outskirts of town. Growing up there, I have experienced many strange things, many of which I cannot explain besides it being paranormal. Even though I know a good bit of the paranormal or the occult, some of these entities proved out of my main knowledge base. I've seen my little sister's double, seen multiple shadows in the house with a friend present. He quickly left after they all moved away at once. Had things move around, knocked on doors when no one else was home or asleep, footsteps up and down the hallways, conversations that would mute when you got close to them, and many other things. However, one of the creepiest ones always happened at the main bathroom. It had a small hallway branching from the main hallway. It wasn't very long, but I never felt safe there. During the night, even as a growing adult, I would run as best I could at night because I feared what was behind me. I slowly stopped doing so because I knew that whatever it was got some kind of pleasure from it. I slowly started to not feel the presence near as much, but it was still there. One evening, as I'm taking a shower, getting ready for bed, I hear a knock, but not from the door. It came from the medicine cabinet. So being the curious fucker I am, I peeled back the shower curtain to see some of the fog having been wiped off the mirror. I started to take a closer look when I saw a black slanted eye with no skin around it starting to peek its way into my line of sight. I quickly hopped back in the shower and sat there, back against the wall, not knowing what to do. I eventually turned the shower off and hauled ass out of there, still dripping wet. The next time I saw this thing, I was walking down the hall after getting home from school, and I'm the only one home. So I start doing what male teenagers do when no one is around. Ew. I hear some scuffling, the dogs running around, and a door open. I ready myself for someone to be home, and as I walk out my bedroom door, I hear a "Hey," but muted, and not a voice I knew. So I started to make my way towards the front door with my back to the wall, as I felt I might need to dash back to my room for safety. My mistake here was that I was facing the hallway that led to the bathroom. I move over bit by bit, and I hear another voice. Seems to be coming from the living room. So I take another step. Then I see something in the corner of my eye, like a hand pulling back from a corner. I couldn't make it out at the time, but it didn't freak me out enough until I got in full view of the hallway with this thing standing there in a grotesque way. Black slanted eyes, no skin anywhere, black claws, and smelled something awful, more of a rotting meat than rotting eggs. I froze for a second because I saw it flinch a little, like it was coming for me, and I dashed back to my room, slamming the door behind me, only to get 3 knocks every few seconds. I don't remember what I said, but it was along the lines of, "I'm not going to be afraid of you. You can't get past this door." And then it stopped. I waited there until someone got home, to which I went outside for the rest of the day, making sure I didn't have to use the restroom at night for any reason. A few months go by, and I'm still uncomfortable in this bathroom or hallway, but not much has happened since, so my guard starts to slip. One night, I believe it was a Friday night, so I was taking a late night shower. Everything goes as normal. Wash the hair, face, body, when suddenly the lights go out. There was a storm going on in town, and we were getting the weak part of it, so I didn't think much of it. I stepped out to turn on the lights and see if the house has power. Sure enough, house has power, but the bathroom wasn't turning on. the exhaust fan was still on. That's when I started to get really worried and turned the lights on one more time, and with no avail, decided to keep my shower going in the dark. It's a little dumb, but okay. As I got back in the shower, I could feel something breathing on me, back of my neck, my shoulders. Felt a few brushes of what I hoped was just my towel and not something else. As I'm getting out of the shower, I'm drying my hair off, and the lights come on. Awesome, I'm thinking as I start to dry my face. When I pull the towel off, I look up at the mirror. Once again, doesn't have fog, but the whole lot of it, not just a corner. I looked up a little more and just saw the thing there, right behind me, making a smile of sorts, but its mouth was sewn shut, or so it seemed. I stood there for about 5 seconds, unable to move, before feeling its claw on my shoulder, closer to my neck. I was suddenly able to move, and again left the bathroom dripping wet, running to my door. I slam it shut, shaken, and trying to gather my nerves. I hear a deep, high-pitched laughter, and heard the bathroom door close. Went to bed that night with the lights on, all while hearing more footsteps than usual in the hallway. I've seen the thing thrice more, but thankfully none as scary as mentioned above, since I've learned to deal with it and how to protect myself. Haven't heard much of skinless humanoids, so this is one that has always stuck with me. Scariest besides being held against a wall from a vengeful ghost. Sorry for the wall of text, just thought I should get one of my stories out there for discussion. This is one of my more vivid early encounters. My grandpa's death, when I was 7, kind of jump-started whatever latent abilities I had, but this was 3 years later, when I was 10. Whether animals or people, death has been a constant in my life. I prefer to think that some of us are made to comfort the dying or the dead. I watched life leave the eyes of my grandpa, many pets, and other humans. This particular day was normal for me. It was the weekend, and it was nice out. I remember the phone ringing, and my mother came out crying. She told me to get in the car, and we drove to my cousin's house. I am going to change the names and be vague about location to protect my family that is still living. I will refer to the family as follows: Father T, Mother C, son TJ, daughter M. TJ was the oldest child, but M was about 14, I think. T was a farmer, and TJ would go with his dad to work the fields while C and M hung out at home. That particular day, while T and TJ were out farming, a stranger came to the house. He likely walked from the nearby interstate. He murdered C, then sexually assaulted M before murdering her as well. T and TJ came home for lunch to find the bodies. T is my mother's first cousin, and they were very close. My mother's first instinct was to go to T and TJ and try to comfort them. I remember we had to park in the field because the entire property was swarmed with police and tape and emergency vehicles. I rolled my window down a bit, and my mouth instantly tasted like blood. All I could smell was blood. My mom told me it was okay. She just needed to see T about something, and we would go home. She told me that under no circumstances should I leave the car. Don't talk to anyone. Don't get out of the car. She even locked the doors. I just remember looking at their lawn, covered in lights and tape and cars, and I knew something really, really, really bad happened. The ambulance hadn't left yet. My mom was hugging T while he sobbed. TJ was being questioned by a policeman, but TJ was just staring at the front door. He looked vacant. I knew this was not a good place to be. I kept tasting blood, and I just wanted to leave. I was contemplating somewhere that wasn't there. Then a very kind-looking policeman knocked on my window and asked me where my mom was. I told him she was with T, but I wanted to leave. He opened the door and crouched down and talked to me. As we talked, I calmed. The taste of blood was gone. I could no longer see the front door. Anytime I would ask about what was going on, the policeman in navy blue would effortlessly change the subject. Eventually, my mom came back and he said bye to me and shut the door. Mom then asked why I had my door open when she specifically told me not to. I told her the policeman was talking to me. She said there was no policeman near her car. I thought about it. He opened a locked door. He was in a navy blue uniform. Our local police were brown. Days later, I learned that the murderer had killed C in front of that front door. He shot her in the face. Her blood was on the door that the phantom policeman kept me from seeing. The murders were finally solved 20 years later. Unfortunately, that lowlife had been hitchhiking up and down a small stretch of the interstate, raping and killing women. By the time the DNA was analyzed, the son of a bitch was dead. C and M didn't get justice, and I have no idea who or what that officer was. I know our farming community started getting better locks and more guns. I know there's a memorial bench for C and M at my school, and honestly, I hope that sad excuse for a human meat sack has an eternity of suffering. I lived on the 9th level of a high-rise apartment during my youth. The lift stops at ground floor, 7th floor, and 11th floor. So, to get to my floor, I always alight at the 7th and walk 2 stories up on the staircase. One night I came home slightly after midnight. Same thing, I alighted on the 7th floor and proceeded to climb 2 stories up to my apartment. When I was at the 8th floor, I heard this clinging sound that sounded like a bell, softly at first, but it grew louder as it draws closer. I stood still in my track and listened to the sound, cling, 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 coming from my right. Then it passed by right behind me, then to my left, and slowly fades away. Sensing something wrong, I ran towards my apartment, fumbling with my keys, violently, unlocking my door, and just slammed it shut behind me, to a very puzzled dad, who was still up and sitting in the living room, wondering what was wrong with me, rushing home like that. So I told my dad what happened at the staircase, and man, his remarks wasn't comforting at all. He said it could be that I crossed paths with a hell guard who was leading lost souls back to hell. Needless to say, I slept with the lights on that night. For an entire year, I dare not stay out at night. P.S. According to some Asian beliefs, hell guards hold a bell and ring it when they are leading souls to their netherworld destination. That was what I was told. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed these stories. The second one was definitely really creepy and super sad. It sucks that people don't get justice for the horrific things that happen to them or their family members. With that being said, stay safe, you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.